Welcome back to Hey Kentucky Special Legislative Preview. Want to get to a few more topics that are likely to be discussed in this session. Rylan, I want to start with you. Criminal justice reform is also going to be a biggie. I think we incarcerate people in Kentucky at the 6th highest rate in the country, and we have nowhere to put people anymore.
That's right. The Herald Leader, John Cheves of the Herald Leader, has done great coverage of this. Everybody should read up on it. The state's prison population has steadily grown for a really long time, and the legislature basically just continues to pass new felonies that put more people into jail, into prison. This is something that costs the state a lot of money, and plus amid the opioid epidemic, it continues to grow. There have been a lot of proposals to try and scale back this, or at least slow the rate. One has just kind of, basically there's been sentencing reform proposals to make some things that are felonies a little bit harder to become felonies, say theft, raising the bar from $500 of theft to $1,000. That would basically cut off a lot of people who are going into prison right now. It's a tough issue. Just saying that, there's a lot of people that makes them angry, and lawmakers, it's very sensitive for them. But there have been several criminal justice proposals that big bills with lots of different changes in them that have come up in recent years. I think there will be a little bit more support for it with the Democratic governor, but we'll see. A lot of the opposition to this comes from prosecutors and judges, and a lot of these bills end up getting killed in the back rooms before they come out.
Olivia, one of the controversial bills being talked about is the so-called bathroom bill, which would, you can kind of explain it a little bit. I can't imagine this passing.
Yeah, so again, we have a bathroom bill, so essentially students in schools would be required to use the bathroom and the locker room associated with their
gender assigned at birth.
Yes. Instead of the one they identify with, which will impact transgender students predominantly. It's come up before, it's failed. Even Matt Bevin was like, what's the point of this?
Yeah.
North Carolina did pass something similar. It ultimately got
repealed.
Had to repeal it. Yeah. So it's buzzy, but I'm not sure how far it's going to go.
All right. Daniel, red flag gun laws. This is something that really, when you talk about Second Amendment, people get so fired up on both sides.
On both sides, yeah. Yeah, so this is kind of one of those where it's an idea at compromise, right? It's not going as far as to ban assault rifles or anything like that. What it does is it allows people that if either family members or police feel that that person is unsafe and should not have guns, they can file something with the court, and the police will be able to go and take those guns and make sure that that person doesn't have it. The proponents of this really kind of emphasize it from a suicide standpoint more than anything else, right? Because if you look at the leading cause of or gun death, suicide is a really big, like gun deaths are a really big cause of people who die from suicide, is what I'm trying to say. And there are states that have seen a reduction, or they see data that shows a reduction in death by or gun death suicides. At the same time, there are people who are really afraid of this because it's seizing their weapons, right? It is saying that a judge will be able to determine whether or not you're able to possess guns, and that's a really difficult thing to balance when you have the Second Amendment, when you have this this thing in the Constitution that says you have the right to bear arms. And so it's never kind of easy with this gun debate because the sides are pretty, they have their heels dug in and they're not moving much.
With Republican control, do you see that actually making headway at all?
It's possible, it's unlikely, right? Like it seems that when they address gun violence, they're addressing it in other ways like the school safety bill, right? Saying that we need to ramp up protection rather than ramping up taking things
There have
away.
been some Republican supporters of that though.
Yeah, there have.
Both in the Senate and the House, and Republicans who have come out and sponsored that bill already.
Yeah, and it's one of those, we'll see how it goes, right? There are a lot of bills that have Republican support now because Republicans are ahead of it and they still get nowhere. So it's a matter of having the right people, right? The leadership convinced that this is the way to go.
All right, stay with us. We'll have more coming up after the break on Hey Kentucky Special Legislative Preview.